welcome Chaplain Remco Brahman to lead us in our invocation with our Milton Police and Fire Chaplain.
Thank you. Please join me in prayer if you'd like. Our Father in heaven, we just want to take a moment or so to pause and reflect on the fact that you are a God who is intensely personal and seeks to shepherd the people that he has created and seeks a relationship with us. And we are thankful for that. We're thankful that you are a God who is close by and not far off, that you concern yourself with the well-being of your creation. And in that vein, we come and ask you tonight that you would grace this meeting with your presence and give wisdom and insight and integrity and a sense of well-being and duty to the council as they make decisions and reflect on plans for the city. And we join together in prayer tonight as well as we pray for the citizens of Johns Creek, that safety will continue. We've been blessed up until this point with relatively low crime and relatively few tragic incidents, and we pray that that will continue. We pray that you give safety to the police department and the fire department, and that you would give strength and wisdom and grace to those that carry out the duties of governing this city and running this city on a day-to-day basis. So we thank you for your presence here tonight and welcome it. And I pray this in due respect to all religions, in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Milton City Council for Monday, August 2nd, 2010 to order. Will the city clerk please call the roll and make general announcements?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll be happy to call roll for the August 2nd, 2010 regular meeting. However, I would like to remind those in attendance to please silence all cell phones at this time. Additionally, those attending the meeting who would like to provide public comment, either during the public hearings or during the call for public comment, you are required to complete a public comment card prior to speaking on an item. There is no public comment for consent agenda items or items under first presentation. Those called to speak will be taken in the order that the speaker cards were received by the city clerk staff prior to tonight's meeting. All speakers will identify themselves by name, address, and organization if applicable. When you hear the bell, you have 30 seconds to complete your remarks. The City Council may allow public comment on either an agenda item or general public comment from a representative of such an organized group or association, provided, however, that such an individual shall file a notarized affidavit that they have the authority to speak on behalf of said organization on a form provided by the city clerk prior to the agenda item being called. Demonstration of any sort within the chamber is prohibited, so please refrain from any applause, cheering, booing, outbursts, or dialogue with any person speaking. Please show the same respect to the person speaking that you will expect to receive yourself. Anyone in violation will be asked to leave. As I call roll, please confirm your attendance. Mayor Joe Lockwood.
Here.
Councilmember Karen Thurman.
Here.
Councilmember Julie Zonner Bailey is out of town and would like the following statement read into the record. I am out of town and therefore cannot be in attendance tonight. I have provided input to our city manager as appropriate on certain of the items on tonight's agenda. Councilmember Bill Lusk.
Here.
Councilmember Bert Hewitt.
Here.
Councilmember Joe Longoria.
Here.
Councilmember Alan Tart.
Here.
Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
Under
one
God,
nation,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I want to welcome everybody here tonight and ask the city clerk to please sound the next item.
Next item is approval of meeting agenda. This is agenda item number 10, 1190.
Are there any items to be considered?
Mayor, I've got a couple. I'd like to officially add an executive session to discuss litigation and land acquisition.
as well as defer ZM 10-02 under first presentation and move that item to the September 8th, 2010 council meeting. And then also at the pleasure of the council, if you'd be willing to move agenda item 101199, which is approval of the resolution appointing members to the Historic Preservation Commission, move that from new business to immediately following the consent agenda.
Okay. Any other items to be considered? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve the meeting agenda as recommended by staff.
I'll second it.
Motion by Councilmember Tartt, second by Councilmember Thurman. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. All right, next item is public comment. Public comment is a time for citizens to share information with the mayor and city council and to provide input and opinions on any matter that is not scheduled for its own public hearing during today's meeting. There's no discussion on items on the consent agenda or further presentation from the public or from council. Each citizen who chooses to participate in public comment must complete a comment card and submit it to the city clerk. Please remember this is not a time to engage the mayor or members of council in conversation. When your name is called, please come forward and speak into the microphone stating your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes for remarks. City clerk, do we have any public comment?
Yes, sir, we have 3 public comments. Our first one comes from Miss Patty Silva.
Okay.
Good evening, council members, mayor, everybody. My name is Patty Silva. I'm at 1685 High Grove Club Drive, Milton, Georgia. I didn't have time to go home and prepare for this, but I just got word that there's some discussion about farmers markets and things of that nature for our community. I don't want to talk out of turn, and I'm sorry I haven't done my homework, but just in case something is being decided in the next few weeks, I just wanted to bring up some points about that. So, what I heard is that the farmers market is going to be, or farmers markets or areas are going to be mixed use, and that farmers markets will only be allowed for 4 months. I'm concerned about that, if that's true, because I know that our growing season in Georgia is much longer than 4 months, and I don't want to limit the time that farmers can sell here in Milton. There are other farmers markets which run much longer in communities all around us. A few examples are Alpharetta, April through October, Roswell, April through November, and Atlanta, many year round. We're in the process right now of working on a community-wide event. Some citizens, separately from the city, we hope that you support it when we get it all together. But we would need 2/3 of the year to sell items to the public. Okay, that's farmers market. I'm here to also tell you about the community center and to thank you for letting us have an opportunity. Some wonderful things are happening with that, with the community getting involved. And I know that's an update that I need to give you offline, but I just wanted to tell you that I appreciate the opportunity to work on that. Another thing is we've started something in Milton called the Milton Love Project. One of my biggest passions here is the elderly, and I know that they're kind of lost in a way and not connecting with some people in the community. So we did our first mission a couple of nights ago, and today, upon visiting that family, I found out how much they need our help in our community. And that's something I want to talk to one of you about at another time, about how we get more involved in their life and make sure that they're taken care of. The other thing I have concern about, and I forgot to bring it up here, is I have a gift for Mr. Lagerbloom. There is a policeman in Ross, California that gave you a gift, and I'm delivering it to you. My big concern with the police, everybody knows how much I love the firemen. They get all the kudos and stuff, but I'm really concerned about the police here because in just talking to the community, as you know, I talk to everybody, I've even heard adults, fathers, talk about how, you know, they just ride around and they speed and they give tickets, and I'm thinking, like, I'm just shocked to hear fathers I know talk like that, and I'm thinking we need to do some community awareness about the personal side of these men and women, and maybe connect them so they can see their face when they talk about it. I want everybody to know and I think I've brought this up before, that everybody in our town should know what the face of an officer looks like, so that, I don't know, brings more human side to that. Okay, that's it for now. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Where's the patch? I was about to say the patch from California. Thank you, Patty. What's the significance of this? It has 16 colors in it, which no other patch has.
It's from Ross, California, Marin County, where I moved from, and it's, I think they have 17 colors this year because they wanted to outbeat the other cities, so they also have a lot of fun. It's the patch with the most colors in the United States.
How many do we know?
It sounds like it's the most expensive.
It is probably the most expensive.
It's not the same place where the police chief makes $500,000.
No, that's Bell, California.
That's Bell,
Couldn't
All over the-
Maybe. But how much does the mayor make there?
All right, so do you have more public comment?
We have two more public comments dealing with Verizon Wireless and T-Mobile South. Do we want to take these at this time?
Can we hold those till the
Probably hold
agenda?
until we have that agenda item specific.
And
Okay.
that's all the public comment.
Okay, thank you. Move on to consent agenda. Will the city clerk please sound the items?
Our first item is approval of July 7th, 2010 regular council meeting minutes. Agenda item number 10, 1191. Our second item is approval of the July 12th, 2010 special call meeting minutes. Agenda item number 10, 1192. Our third item is approval of the July 12th, 2010 work session minutes. Agenda item number 10, 1193. Our fourth item is approval of the July 19th, 2010 regular council meeting minutes. Agenda item number 10, 1194. And our final item is approval of contracts not to exceed a total of $1,120,980 for road reconstruction with Blunt Construction Company and $29,276 for construction inspection with Kimley Horn and Associates, Inc. Agenda item number 10, 1195.
Okay, do I have a motion and a second on the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Councilmember Lusk, and I think it was a tie, but.
That's okay.
But Councilmember Thurman seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, there's no items on reports and presentations, so I'm going to move on to the first presentation. Will the city clerk please send this item?
We moved item number 1 from new business up past the agenda. And this is.
Can I, did we change the agenda to allow the historic,
Yeah.
before first presentation?
Yes.
Yeah, so.
Can we go ahead with that item now?
Yeah.
Okay.
This item is approval of a resolution appointing members to the Historic Preservation Commission for the city of Milton pursuant to ordinance number 10-0665. This is agenda item number 10, 1199, presented by Ms. Lynn Tully.
Yeah, I don't know necessarily that we have a large staff presentation tonight. As I understand, we have 3 names to be brought forward, one of which is from Councilmember Zonner Bailey, and I have a biography of her recommendation for appointment to read whenever is appropriate. I also know that Councilmember Lusk as well as Councilmember Longoria have brought forward names. I don't know if anybody else has, but we're certainly willing to entertain those as well tonight. But those are the 3, in whatever order you'd like to do them in.
Okay, does anyone else have something they want to bring forward? If not, we'll go ahead and bring forward if you want to start.
Do you want me to start with Councilmember Zonner Bailey?
Zonner Bailey.
Councilmember Zonner Bailey's nomination for the Historic Preservation Commission is Joan Becker Borzilleri. Joan has a history of caring about the natural world, land use, and the livability of our communities. Joan and her husband, Don, have lived in major metropolitan areas in the eastern United States, including Chicago, Boston, Greensboro, North Carolina, before relocating to Atlanta in the late 70s. Joan's education is in social work. She left a casework position in DeKalb County Department of Family and Children's Services to work for the State of Georgia Department of Human Resources. She serves as training manager for the MIS group charged with implementing the computerized public assistance reporting and information system. Her unit provided statewide training and educational materials for all of Georgia's DFACS caseworkers. Leveraging her state MIS experience, Joan transitioned to private industry in financial and healthcare software. She worked for both Unisys and McKesson corporations in project management and software development process management. Joan served as a CMM assessor, judging the best practices in McKesson's software development process. Some of her interests: Joan has worked as a Girl Scout professional while living in Chicago and saw the benefits children derive from experiencing the natural world. She's been a Girl Scout leader for 10 plus years and is a longtime member of Georgia Forest Watch and Oversight Group for the protection of the Chattahoochee and Oconee National Forests. She values the preservation of our cultural and architectural heritage exemplified by protecting and restoring historic sites. Joan and her family have had the opportunity to travel extensively in this country and abroad, visiting Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and virtually all countries in Europe. She served for 18 months on the Historic Preservation Committee. She has a bachelor's degree from Damon College in Buffalo, New York. And without further ado, I'll present that as Councilmember Honor Bailey's nomination to the Historic Preservation Commission.
Okay. I guess we'll go ahead and introduce all three, and then I'll ask them to come up. All right, Councilmember Lusk.
Mr. Mayor, I feel my nomination to the commission is eminently qualified. His name is Norman Broadwell, and Norman is a member of the Native family in North Fulton County, actually Old Milton County. His family settled in Crabapple in 1838. Norman's retired from Fulton County Schools after serving as teacher and administrator for 39 years. He's a graduate of Georgia Southern University. His postgraduate work includes Masters in History from Peabody College and graduate work in History from University of Georgia and Northwestern Universities. Norman served on the Milton Historic Preservation Ordinance Committee for the past 18 months. He and his wife Martine are active members of the Alpharetta Historic Society, having served as president and currently as chairman of the Heritage Committee. Norman and his wife Martine have 3 children and 3 grandchildren. They also serve as docents for the educational tours through the old Milton log cabin at the former Milton High School site. Norman and Martine live on Christopher's Run in Milton. Norman Broadwell's my nomination
Okay.
for
Thank
the
you.
commission.
Thank you. Councilmember Longoria, if you want to nominate your...
Yeah, I'd like to nominate for District 5 position on the Historic Preservation Commission, Travis Allen. And Travis is a Milton native and a 1995 graduate of Milton High School. He's been a student of local history for quite some time. He served as a board member with the Alpharetta Historical Society and was first asked to help the City of Milton in developing a historic preservation ordinance in late 2006 as a part of a Citizens Volunteer Committee. He did that job for the past 18 months. Since then, he's been on the Milton Bicycle and Pedestrian Path Committee, served as chairperson for the Milton Roundup, and was selected to be on the recent Milton Historic Preservation Committee. Travis is an ardent Boston Red Sox fan and resides in Milton with his wife Tiffany and his son Thomas, and we'll forgive him the whole Red Sox thing. So,
Okay. Thank you. Then we'll need to vote on this, and then I will swear these members in. So I have a motion and a second for these 3 nominations.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve a resolution appointing members to the Historic Preservation Commission for the City of Milton pursuant to ordinance number 10-06-65.
I'll second the motion.
All right. I have a motion by Councilmember Thurman, second by Councilmember Lusk. Is there any discussion on this item?
Just a point of order, do we need to specify who we're appointing?
Well, I
in the
think you have
motion?
to identify the names of just the individuals.
Okay. The motion maker, would you, or I can read them, or if you want to amend your motion to include the names of these individuals?
The names would be Joan Becker Boiselario from District 2, Norm Broadwell from District 3, and Travis Allen for District 5.
Thank you.
Okay, can I have a second on that?
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Thurman, second by Councilmember Lusk. Is there any more discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. So I will ask Joan, Norman, and Travis to step forward. Give them the oath. Okay, if you guys will raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear and affirm that I will faithfully perform the duties of the Historic Preservation Commission of the city, and that I will support and defend the charter thereof, as well as the Constitution and the laws of the state of Georgia and of the United States of America. Thank you. We'll have a signature there. Worked hard, so we're excited to move forward, but thank you. Huh? And also, if the council wants to come down, we'll maybe get a picture for some of the press here.
I'll take one. I got a brilliant new phone. I want to try it out.
Sure.
Mine's dry. After mine took a swim this weekend.
Yeah, water goes well with electronics.
Cell phones and things don't get long.
You don't qualify yet, so you know.
Thanks a lot, man. Thank you very much. We're crying.
You're probably welcome. That's great. Thank y'all very much. Squish.
Squish. Yeah.
We need to move over a little
No,
bit.
you're all right. We're going in, Bert. Here we go. I'm gonna try this like Jason does it. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
You
got it on one shot, is it?
I got it in one shot. My slides are over here.
Thank you.
Okay, will the city clerk please sound the next item?
Our next item under first presentation, the first item, ZM 10-02, was deferred to September 8, 2010, regular council meeting by motion and vote. Our second item, RZ 10-02, to delete or amend the following sections of the City of Milton zoning ordinance to be consistent with the City of Milton telecommunications ordinance. 1, Section 64 to 74, non-conforming lots, uses, and structures. 2, Section 64 through 1097, miscellaneous provisions of the State Route 9 Overlay District. 3, Section 64 to 1592, alternative antenna support, structure to exceed the district height. 4, Section 64 to 1594, antenna, tower, and associated structures, radio, TV, microwave broadcasting, etc., to exceed the district height 0-I, C-1, M-1A, M-1, and M-2. 5, Section 64 to 1801, antenna, tower, and associated structure, radio, TV, microwave broadcasting, etc., to exceed the district height, residential district mix, and AG1. This is agenda item number 10, 1197. Our third and final first presentation item is RZ 1003 to amend section 64 to 1606A of the City of Milton zoning ordinance, roadside produce stands to include mixed use. This is agenda item number 10, 1198.
Okay. Do I have a motion second on the first presentation items?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the first presentation.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Hewitt, second by Councilmember Tartt. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay. So we don't have any items on our zoning agenda, so let's move to unfinished business. Will the city clerk please sound those out?
Item number 1 is approval of an ordinance to replace Chapter 54, regulating the location, placement, and leasing of wireless telecommunication facilities. This is agenda item number 10, 1161. Previously discussed at June 14, 2010 council work session. First presentation on June 21st, regular council meeting. Deferred from July 7th, regular council meeting. Ms. Lynn Tully.
Why don't we, City, why don't we hear the two public comment first,
so
and
we do it.
then
My bad.
we'll let the city attorney handle the discussion.
Our first public comment comes from Jennifer Blackburn.
Mayor and members of the council, good evening. My name is Jen Blackburn. I'm an attorney with Troutman Sanders, and I'm here on behalf of Verizon Wireless. And I'd like just to request that there be some additional changes to the ordinance prior to adoption. I believe that some of the provisions that were left in the ordinance are in violation of the Georgia Broadband Co-location Act, and I believe that the annual licensing provision is preempted by the FCC. I submitted some comments to you guys on Friday, and it's submitted 2 sets to the city, and I hadn't received any response from those, but I would like the opportunity to discuss it, and especially in light of the Georgia Broadband Co-location Act, and sit down maybe with the city attorney and speak to him about those, and hopefully get that revised before it's adopted. Thank you.
Okay, and even though with public comment, this isn't time to discuss this, but I'll assume our city attorney will address those when he does.
Our final public comment comes from Sean Blasingbill.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Sean Blasingbill. I reside at 205 Wildflower Lane, Canton, Georgia, 30114. A lot of you guys have seen me, or actually all of you guys have seen me previously, as a representative for SAI on behalf of T-Mobile with our previous 3 applications. Pretty much want to echo what Jennifer just stated, that T-Mobile has issued some letters initially on July 7th when the item was deferred, and they've also submitted an additional letter via Ann Brooks. I'd like to echo the statements Jennifer made regarding the Georgia Co-location Act that was recently passed, as well as the licensing fee. But there are a couple other details that T-Mobile would like to have the opportunity to discuss with the council members before this new ordinance and proposed changes are adopted. Thank you.
Sure. Same goes to the please. Okay, now I'll turn it over to Ms. Tully.
I think I'll probably turn most of this back over to Ken Gerard, our city attorney, but I would like to let you know that we did receive those comments, and there was discussion as late as 4:30 today, so I believe that there are some additional changes that are being requested, but Ken will fill you in on those. Ken?
Terribly timely.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, we are endeavoring to address the comments that we received the day of the meeting as best that we can, and have been on the phone for a good deal this afternoon with some of our consultants. Let me just walk you through some of the concerns that are being expressed by the industry folks. Preliminarily, as part of the modifications that we've been going through with respect to this ordinance, we have been trying to make sure that we are, in fact, responsive to the Advanced Broadband Co-location Act, and try to ensure that we make a clear line of demarcation between co-locations and modifications and an expedited approval process for those that is consistent with the new law while still maintaining the full processing for new wireless telecommunications facilities and the siting of those. We have put that into a previous ordinance change, or the last draft that you saw. We continue to get concerns by the industry in spite of the fact that we did add language making clear that for co-locations and modifications that would go to an expedited track. But it looks like they are still under the belief that you have to go through all of the analysis in Section 5 of the code. So we got with our folks today and are trying to make it as clear and simple for them as possible, that we are making a clear line of demarcation so that the Advanced Broadband Co-location Act is honored. We have that modification. That's in front of you now. You will see in Section 5A, I hope your text is, I'm not sure what that color is. They both look purple to me. But I think that some people would know that one is a different color than the other. But you will see where we are trying to make clear that the permit process for co-locations or modifications shall be governed by Section A, and no further requirement of this section shall be applicable. So hopefully that's a clear signal that you then need to flip in the code back to Section 7, and with respect to co-locations and modifications, that's how you handle those. I will tell you, let me go ahead and forecast this, that at the end of this presentation, we're going to ask you for some additional time within the current moratorium. We're not asking for an extension of the moratorium, but I believe that the council has a special meeting for next Monday. We're going to ask this be deferred till then. Again, we spent a lot of time going through this today with the consultants and our own experts, but because it was done literally this afternoon, I would like an additional chance to get with Lynn, go over the modifications that we put in there. But again, we have tried to further address the concerns that are set forth in these letters, and I want to have a chance to go through them with Lynn line by line before I ask you to actually raise your hand and vote on something. But again, we were making changes to this code to try and address their concerns this afternoon. So that is with respect to Section 5. And quite frankly, once we make that clear line of distinction between the co-locations and then the full process for the new facilities, you really address a lot of the concerns that they have set forth in their letters, because although they put several different bullet points in there, a lot of them are basically a variation on that same theme, just pointing out the different ways that they believe that manifests it and they want that changed. So we really feel like we've done a lot to address those concerns. Some of the other concerns with respect to, I don't know if y'all are following along on the letter. We can do it that specific if you want to, or I'll just kind of walk you through it. The industry continues to have concerns with respect to the requirement of a radio frequency engineer, but then us requiring certain plans to be signed off by a professional engineer. The industry, basically their argument is the two aren't necessarily the same, that a lot of times a radio frequency engineer and will not be a PE, and it's the city's requirement that under this code that we require a PE to sign off on these documents. Our folks in the industry are telling us that having the PE requirement in there is not burdensome, it's not unusual, and it is appropriate. And so at the present time, we are still asking that be the way the ordinance is drafted, and that is a professional engineer would have to sign off on some of the technical documents that you would require. There was a concern with respect on, this is on page 4 of the, I think this is the Verizon letter, with respect to some language in Section 5D of the ordinance that basically seemed to suggest that there would be an additional fees that might pop up through the permitting process. We have decided and would recommend to you that we delete that language. Certainly we want everybody doing business with Milton to understand what the fee process is, and there not to be any suggestion that this is going to be something the city is going to make up as we go along. No one wants that. So we have recommended that the section in 5D that tends to suggest that the fees there may be additional fees arrive later in the process, we are requesting that be taken out. Currently, let me see if I can get you to the right place in the code. This is pertaining to setbacks with respect to stealth structures.
Page 12.
Yeah, page 12 on your ordinance, the proposed ordinance. Section D at the bottom, I think the industry has a concern that they would like to see us be more flexible with our setbacks when stealth technology is used. I think that is the basis for that is the notion that if stealth technology is going to be used, perhaps we should try and incentivize the utilization of stealth technology by being more liberal with our setbacks. Again, we went over this with our consultants. That is basically something that is within your province of policy making, and we're not really inclined to. We're inclined to certainly bring it to your attention, but I believe right now, and again, I've not had a chance to discuss this in detail with Lynn because she wasn't available today, understandably. But I think I'd like to go over it with her to see if she feels like there needs to be some flexibility on the setbacks as well if the stealth technology is used. But I think the city manager and I felt comfortable saying that the ordinance is drafted is appropriate. Our consultants felt that as well. And I would just put that back into your province. If you want to try and incentivize stealth technology by giving some concessions on setbacks, certainly for you to consider, but we're not really going to propose that at this time. I guess the last significant issue that seemed to be a theme in a couple of the letters was, obviously we've talked about Section 5 versus Section 7. What I mean by that is the fast tracking of the co-locations. Another theme was the annual license. That appears to be something that both T-Mobile and Verizon have raised, as has PCIA. And we have, in fact, seen that raised in some letters to other jurisdictions that have a similar scheme than that. The notion that there would be an annual licensing fee that would be paid in the city of Milton. Two arguments have been raised. One of them was that is the suggestion that we are preempted by federal law to be able to assert or impose an annual licensing fee. The consultants and folks that we have spoken with suggest that is not the case. But of course, that's an argument that the industry is raising. The second issue is the suggestion that this is a money-making exercise by the city of Milton. A couple of the industry representatives have suggested that that's what this is to do, and that's not the case. I mean, the reality is this annual licensing fee will be used to pay a third-party entity to go out and conduct annual inspections of these towers, bring back reports, and provide the city information with respect to what if any, additional construction has gone on those sites, and to bring back information that you all can then use to hopefully modify, or if need be, modify the code, understand if any sort of permitting or compliance changes need to be made, and otherwise just have an assessment of what is on the towers that you have otherwise permitted. This is expensive to do that, and that would be the basis for the fee. They will be able to provide us documentation by way of invoices of what they are charging us, and the fee should closely correspond to that. We hope that it will. The notion is that the city, and under the auspices of a fee, can't charge a tax. We understand that. Your city manager understands that. Your community development director understands that. Your city attorney understands that. That's not what this is. It's not intended to make money. It's intended to provide service and information and better information for you to make decisions with. So that's where we are with respect to the annual licensing fee. Again, it's consistently raised. I will suggest to you that the language I'm seeing in the correspondence going to some of the other jurisdictions, particularly Liberty County, which also has this, is that someone is going to get challenged with respect to this fee. It's just a matter of time. Because that's just, you can read the letters and know that someone is going to be a test case for this, and you need to be aware of that as you consider whether to include this or not. Staff thinks it's a good idea. Certainly your consultants and experts think it's a good idea to have it in there so we can continue to monitor these towers on an annual basis, being mindful that there's going to be a challenge at some point. All those things considered, and of course I'll be happy to go through any questions. Lynn and I are here to talk with you about the specifics, further specifics of the ordinance. But other than that, I would ask that you give us some time to further digest all the comments that have been made literally this afternoon. Make sure Lynn and I have a chance to talk about them, get with the city manager, and then we will bring you back a product that you can approve next Monday. Mr. Mayor.
Is there any questions for our city attorney or for staff on this? If not, then I'll entertain motions. One being the recommendation to defer this item until next Monday's meeting. Does that give us time to?
It does. And if I would almost say go forward this evening, but I would feel just a little better if I could go over it with Lynn and Chris first.
Okay. Does that give us time to advertise and whatnot on our agenda?
Yeah, you will, with the maker of the motion, would move to defer it to the special called meeting of August 9th.
Okay. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to defer agenda item 10-11, I'm sorry, 10-12, dang, I'm all on. Sorry, agenda item 10-1161 to the August 9th special called meeting.
Second. I have a motion by Councilmember Tartt, second by Councilmember Hewitt. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay. Ask the city clerk to call the next item, please.
Our next item is approval of a facility use agreement between the City of Milton and Hopewell Youth Association for the purpose of providing a youth baseball program at Bell Memorial Park. This is agenda item number 10, 1200. Ms. Cindy Bonacci.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just kind of give a quick background of how we got to this point. As you know, we've had an agreement with the Hopewell Community Youth Association out at Bell Memorial Park since 2008. There were originally 2 agreements, one specifically addressing recreational baseball and one specifically addressing travel baseball. One, the recreation agreement covered a 5-year period, the travel agreement covered a 1-year period. Myself and Scott Stahusky, who is the Vice President of HYA, have held numerous meetings and numerous reviews of both existing agreements to consolidate them into one agreement, one being a main agreement covering both recreation and travel, and that's why we're referring to it as a youth baseball program, and then having a second part to that main agreement, which specifically addresses anything for travel not included or different from what the main agreement states. Our hope is to clear up a lot of management issues with the agreement that's been in place, both from a standpoint of the city having to manage the existing agreement with numerous dates and reporting periods included, and on behalf of HYA, who is responsible for meeting those deadlines and reporting. We hope to have cleared up a lot of those discrepancies and unrealistic timeframes for reporting. The other main adjustments to the agreement, again, were to just split the 2 agreements apart if they did not refer to the consolidated youth baseball program. The main revisions that have any sort of financial impact on the agreement deal with the issue of background checks. Background checks are conducted each season for all of the coaches, and they have been paying a rate of $20, which is our standard rate for background checks, and this agreement would allow them to pay $15 per background check, a discounted rate for offering the program. Also, it addresses HYA board members with children playing in either the recreation or travel baseball program, and the waiving of only one registration fee, whichever rate is higher. It addresses non-resident fees. Non-resident fees will not be waived for HYA board members. All late fees and non-resident fees will be paid to the City of Milton to be included in our reinvestment fund. The reinvestment fund covers improvements at Bell Memorial Park. The lease fees for the travel baseball teams outlined in the agreement will no longer be collected. The allowed teams in the agreement are considered sanctioned teams. There's a total of 6 travel teams allowed under this agreement, which also includes the Milton High School feeder team, the 8th grade feeder team, which now falls under the management of HYA. Just to recap, this agreement is much easier for us to track. Both myself and HYA feel that way. We have a comfort level with the language and the expectations, and I feel comfortable that this agreement can carry us forward as we create additional agreements for other associations and programs that will be conducted in the city of Milton. So I'm happy to entertain any questions, and just want to draw your attention, Scott Stahusky is here with HYA if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, first, from what I understand, both the city is happy with this agreement and HYA, so that's good. That's good. That makes you think we missed something, right? but I would like to Scott or Jerry, if you had any comments or just want to give a nod, yes or no, that you guys are comfortable to with the city.
We had a wonderful working relationship with the city and the Parks and Rec Department. Put a lot of hours into making this agreement better for both parties.
Okay, thank you. I mean, if we need anything formal on the record, we can ask them to come up, but I don't think council can see that there's a unity on both sides with this agreement. So, any questions for staff or board members? No?
Has this agreement been reviewed by the city attorney?
It has been reviewed by Paul Fricke from Penn's office. Paul was instrumental in drafting the first 2 agreements back in 2008 for recreation and travel, and he and I spent a few hours going over all the revisions, and he was comfortable with all of them that's currently included.
That's correct.
Okay. I mean, if no other questions, do I have a motion or a second? Karen?
I know in the past there's been some issues between the travel team and the non-travel teams as far as use of the fields and all that. And it looks like according to this, it's going to be just left up to them to work it all out. Is that correct?
Well, priority always goes to recreation.
Okay.
The only allotted teams that are allowed are the 6 teams that are specified, which include the feeder teams.
Okay.
The times that they have for practice are specified just for travel teams, but recreation teams have to be accommodated before travel teams.
Okay. No other questions? Do I have a motion?
Mayor, I'd move that we approve agenda item number 10-1200, approval of a facility use agreement between the City of Milton and Hopewell Youth Association for the purpose of providing a youth baseball program at Bell Memorial Park.
Second.
Okay. So a motion by Councilmember Longoria, second by Councilmember Lusk. Do we have any more discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, will the city clerk please sound the next item?
Our next item is approval of a resolution to adopt procedures for zoning text amendments and ordinances. This is agenda item number 10-1201, previously discussed at July 12th work session. Ms. Lynn Cullen.
As you may well remember, on July 12th, we did make some revisions. I'll call your attention to the flow chart at the back. You want to turn it sideways, but it is printed on larger paper. So, among those revisions include, number 1, that the committees may request 2 planning commissioners for service on a single issue committee that's formed specifically for a major text amendment. The planning commission, based on interest and availability, shall choose those 2 members for service. Number 2, that a single version of any proposed amendment is to be presented to council that is approved by the planning commission and incorporates the work of both the commission and the committee via a joint committee commission work session. Now, however, if there are major changes that arise from the discussion at the council work session, then the entire document is sent back to both committees to another joint work session and flow back through the planning commission to council as described previously. And then number 3, any change that is proposed by a single council member must be heard at a work session for consensus prior to further staff work. And you'll see that that's added at the initial outset of the process. And that's simply to allow for staff to have a consensus-wide opinion of whether or not we need to continue work on the project before we put a lot of effort into it. So, if you all are okay with these changes, the resolution is also attached.
Okay, we'll get to questions for Ms. Tully.
Lynn, did we not decide that the committee shall request 2 planning commissioners, but that it would be up to the planning commission to decide whether or not they wanted to fill those 2 slots?
There was a lot of discussion whether it should be a requirement or whether it should be an option. The last of the comments basically stated that the planning commission gives quite a bit of time already, and there might be times when they wouldn't be available simply because of other commitments to other committees, either within the city or other community involvement, and therefore they could ask for those 2 to be appointed, but wouldn't be required.
I think we're talking about 2 different things. I'm reading this that the committee is permitted not to ask the planning commission for anybody. They can choose whether or not they want to select or ask the planning commission to participate. I understand that the planning commission may decide that they don't have people to fill those slots, and that's the planning commission's, decision. But I thought we had decided as a council that the ad hoc committee shall ask for those 2 people, and it's the planning commission's responsibility to actually follow through. If they decide not to, then that's fine. That's how I remember our discussion at the work session.
Does anybody else have a recollection of this?
I remember something similar to that.
I do too.
Apologize, I missed that.
You guys remember?
I do. I remember it.
We have consensus
Make
on
that change.
All right, any other questions? And if not, I would open it up for motion and a second with the changes that the staff talked about there for the planning commission.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve a resolution to adopt procedures for zoning text amendments and ordinances, agenda item number 10-1201, with the small change as far as the committee shall request 2 planning commissioners for service on a single issue committee, but the planning commission may or may not fill those 2 slots at their discretion.
I'll second that.
We've got a motion and a second. Staff, are you clear with that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, any discussion? Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, we'll move on to reports. One thing, just to get some direction, maybe from Ken and Chris, there was some discussion about the city logo on the email.
There was.
Is that something I can bring up here if we want to do anything, or is that a executive?
I don't think it's an executive session item yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be happy if
anybody wants to discuss
I give some background on that today, Mayor, if you want to lead that discussion. We need to do something, I think, and it's purely, I'm looking for direction so I know which way to write a letter, basically. And I think I know where Councilmember Lusk is, but I haven't received any responses from anybody else other than Councilmember Lusk.
Is everybody familiar with what we're talking about? Okay. The logo, the city logo, and the citizens' concern or statement that that's very similar to his logo on his website. So,
I had written the council, I think, some analysis on that. It's been a while ago. Would the council benefit from me resending that, just to kind of refresh your memory of where we concluded? That might be helpful. I'll be happy to do that. I just don't want us to give direction if you're not comfortable with the facts or the legal analysis. I think
it might be good to have that just refresh our memories there on that.
We can refresh that, and we'll do it during staff report at the next meeting.
Okay.
I'll send that out tomorrow.
Okay. Just a general direction then from council. Okay. Do we have anybody on council that wants to make a report or update us on anything?
Mayor?
Karen?
I did speak to Commissioner Lynn Riley's office last week. The libraries board is actually making a little bit of progress now. They hope to have a recommendation for a project manager sometime this month, and also will be recommending to the commissioners their sites sometime this month. Of course, those will all be kept top secret because it's dealing with real estate, but we will probably know something hopefully by September or October as far as who the project manager is going to be and the sites that the commissioners have chosen.
Excellent.
So they're actually moving forward.
For the time being.
This year?
Till they stop.
Well, they said
Till they
this
stop
year.
the progress again.
I've got a question on that. I don't know if anybody can answer or not, but when they announce those sites, are they already a done deal, or there's?
They are announcing to the commissioners the sites that they recommend, that the library board recommends. Now, I don't think those get announced to the general public until
After they're
ready to vote on them.
okay.
Or you just want to know what the late fees are, don't you? Okay. Anybody else have anything? Thank you for that update. Okay, I'll turn it over to staff for staff reports.
A couple of things tonight for the council from a couple of different staff members. We are going to have a special called meeting next week. That agenda is in front of you and was published, and obviously is the agenda that we just deferred in item 2, so it is a legitimately published meeting of this body. I foresee a long night next week, folks. I just want to tell you that. Unfortunately, if you look at the workshop agenda as well as a special called agenda, I don't want to say bring a sleeping bag, but maybe a pillow. And we're going to go ahead and order in dinner that night. So I do think we're going to be here for a while working that night. So y'all can plan on eating just before that meeting.
Providing the caffeine?
I will provide plenty of caffeine. Yep, plenty of caffeine. For 55 cents, all you can drink. No. The mayor and the finance director and I visited the tax commissioner's office this morning. Dr. Ferdinand was open to meeting with us. We met with him about our tax digest, just so you know that there's some of those discussions happening. We're going to watch and see what happens with the court next week in their temporary collection order process. And we're working our best to get everything in line for some of the timelines that we have here in Milton this year for tax billing.
Is it my understanding that Fulton County right now has said they're mailing out their bills around October 1st?
You know, Dr. Ferdinand referred to some erroneous information that had been released by somebody to the public, and I don't know who that somebody might be. But I don't know that that's not the erroneous information. He seemed to indicate today that once the temporary collection order went through next Monday, if in fact the court ruled that way, that we would see a tax digest that we could bill from a whole lot sooner than October. He was talking very first part of September.
Oh, that'd be great.
So.
And we took Stacy with us so they could see firsthand why
we needed it.
Get it done.
Yes, we had to provide a visual.
For the audience, our finance director is pregnant in 8 weeks and is scheduled to leave. So we'd like to get all our taxes, bills, and all done beforehand. So.
I'd like to ask the council if you have availability on August the 17th. I know we take a lot of pictures, but we want to get one more round for the new website launch that I got to tell you is looking sharp. It's going to be great. If you look at your calendars for August the 17th, so that we have consistency, or we can put a Photoshop background on your head if you'd like us to. But
What day of the week is that?
Jason, what day of the week is that?
It's a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday.
It would be preferably afternoon, because we're having all of our staff shots done. And so I would like, not individual shots, but a group shot of council.
I kind of like the old one. I looked younger in that one.
So just let us know what your schedule looks like.
If you don't mind, Jason, shoot out an email prior to and a reminder on that.
Hair back. I'll just go ahead and let you know I'm probably not going to be here that week.
Not going to be here that week. Okay.
Is that something you have a photographer in, or are you doing them?
Yes.
Is that something that they could make up? Well, I guess not.
So not something that you can move to a Monday meeting?
The photographer cannot. because he actually, he is doing this on his own. He works for another newspaper, but he has a photography business. And I've seen some of his portraiture work, and I liked it, and he gave us a really good price. So, but the only day he can shoot is Tuesdays. So, I mean, we could have him come another day, or I could try and do it separately, but as it was, we only had him scheduled for one day to get all of our staff shots done. But I could definitely look and see if we can get him to come on a Monday.
So were you saying
For
you
a single council shot.
It doesn't really do us any good. If we don't have all seven, it's not going to do the justice we need, because it is going to be the focal picture for the new website launch.
But what you're saying really, that to have the full time that he needs to do it, it needs to be on a Tuesday?
Well, no. For him to take all of our staff shots, he's going to have to come on a Tuesday, because that's going to take a while.
Correct.
So I was just trying, because what we have negotiated is a price for him to come that day and do the shots all at one time.
We can bring somebody else in. The problem was it was just about 6 times as expensive to go a different route.
The other option could move it to the following Tuesday, and maybe Councilmember Tartt would be there. I can't speak for
I
everybody else.
can definitely
You can
check
check.
with staff. Yes, absolutely.
Maybe if you could check on that, and then shoot us all an email, and everybody can check their schedules and see if that works. Maybe, that you may be there. Okay. Right.
Community kickoff was this last weekend. I don't know if I'm stealing anybody's thunder. I am, so I'm going to not talk about that. And I do want to, it was hot, I'll say that. It was hot. My God, was it hot. And I do want to just touch on, I'm sure, and I will, and am going to respond to some of the questions that were raised in the first, I think the only public comment we had tonight. I just want to let you know that what we are doing with the farmers market as it relates to mixed zoning is actually asking the council to allow them in additional areas that they aren't allowed today. So we're not doing anything to farmers markets. We are just trying to clean up our code so that we actually allow for them in a place we don't allow for them today. So we're asking you all in the next meeting to do something that's more friendly to roadside produce stands or farmers markets than we are doing something negative to them. So just in case that wasn't clear, I just want you all to know that we have not waged war on farmers markets. We like farmers markets, and we're just trying to make sure that our law allows for them equally in all zoning designations. Okay. We've got a couple of other ones, because you've got some colorful stuff in front of you. We probably need to explain to you what that is. And Cindy can talk about the community kickoff as well.
Yeah, I'll start with the community kickoff. As you know, Jason and I partnered with the Milton Touchdown Club to see if there was potential to grow an event using their weekend player pictures and fundraisers that they do for the Touchdown Club. I think the event went really well. It was about 120 degrees down inside the stadium yesterday, and that's a conservative estimate. It was a great turnout, nonetheless. People were coming and going all day. I think if we adjust the times a bit, maybe to more of an evening event on the first weekend in August, I think we'll have even better turnout. Our hope in partnering with them was to see if there was a way to grow this event into something like a Taste of Milton that would signify the end of summer, back to school, kind of kickoff of the fall football season and such, that everyone in Milton, or most people in Milton, participate in. So it did go well. It was hot, and we'll have some follow-up meetings to see kind of where it goes from here, if there's a way for us to grow it next year and have it again. The colorful document that you have in front of you is a synopsis of all of our write-in responses from our needs assessment survey. As you know, there were 3 write-in response options on the survey, 2 indicating other facilities and other programs that were not listed on the survey, and then 1 question at the very end of the survey that asked citizens what the top priority should be for the department over the next few years. We intentionally gave 3 small, short, 1.5-inch lines for people to write their top priorities on, thinking that would signify enough information. But you would be surprised how much people can write on 3 small 1.5-inch lines. So since Tom came aboard in May and we presented the initial results from the survey to you on June 7th, he has been compiling all of the write-in responses. And these these charts and graphs he put together himself to kind of show you the overview of how it went. I'll briefly, Tom could not be here tonight, and he has spent many hours of his internship on this and has done a phenomenal job capturing verbatim what citizens have said. I did not provide you with the raw data. If you want to read the raw data, let me know. I can provide it to you when I present the resolution at the next meeting. It is 47 pages with 2 columns on each page of actual text from the write-in responses. So if you want to read those, I'm happy to provide that. We also have the raw data of how he categorized all the responses that I can give you as well if you want something in addition to the charts and graphs. But I'll briefly read his report that he gave me because he could not be here tonight. The results of the qualitative data are as follows. Trails, facilities, and programming are in high demand from the community in that order. It is important to note that these were also the top priorities of the quantitative section of the survey. Most respondents mentioned 1 or 2 top priorities, while others felt obligated to summarize the entire quantitative section of the survey. Some statistical elements were different because the write-in and bubble-in sections of this were different between the write-in and bubble-in sections of the survey. This was due to the respondents having to choose their top priority for the write-in, rather than bubbling in as many options as they desired. This created results such as the following. 49+% of respondents checked the boxes for holiday celebrations, concerts, or city festivals, while only 0.5% of the respondents considered those offerings a top priority for the write-in section. Trails received 23% of the open-ended responses. This correlates with the bubble-in results nicely. The other top priorities expressed by the citizens were facilities, both active and passive, and youth programming. Facilities combined accounted for 27% of the citizens' top priorities. When gathering results of the write-in, youth sport programming had an interesting result worth noting. The majority, 70% of responses in this category, were not sports specific. These residents commented on their needs for youth sports in general. Rounding off the top priorities were other recreational needs. The overwhelming majority of responses within this category related to the conditions of the city's current parks and how improvements are sought after. The equestrian elements make Milton such a beautiful city. Although horses are a contributor to our community's culture, there was a low response received from the write-in section of the survey pertaining to equestrian activities, programs, or facilities. Only 62 total responses pertain to the equestrian community. Of those 62, 39 requested trails to accommodate horses. It is also important to note that while these citizens found priorities in all of the above categories, many of them wanted no new taxes or their taxes reduced. So that is kind of the summary of Tom's findings, in addition to the charts and graphs and tables that you have. If there are any specific questions, I'm happy to try to address those. And again, if you would like to see the other raw data of his findings, I'm happy to provide that along with the resolution for the next meeting.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Cindy on this? Okay, thank you very much. Present this to us information. Okay, our next item, we revise our agenda, including executive session to discuss litigation and potential land acquisition. Do I have a motion that we adjourn into executive session?
Mayor, I move to adjourn into executive session to discuss land acquisition and litigation.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Carter, second by Councilmember Hewitt. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
How about now? No? How about now? Test 1, 2. Okay. Do what? Oh. No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Especially in this meeting. Now I know where to turn, so sorry. We had sort of and I don't know if anything's final on this, but we had sort of another video or I don't have Really? So I'll be concentrating mostly on Milton.
Is there a motion to reconvene?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by
Give it that.
Councilmember Thurman and seconded by Councilmember Lusk.
I move to.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I move to adjourn the regular council meeting of August 2nd.
Second.
Member Lusk made a motion to adjourn, and seconded by Councilmember Park. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you for being here, audience.